Good morning or afternoon, learners. Today we're starting a new topic, and our topic is going to be about federalism. So go ahead and push pause on the video and click on the crash course link to watch your first video today. Okay, so the first section is about the division of power that federalism is. If you recall, federalism is the division of power between the national and the state governments. And push pause on this video to go ahead and watch the Khan Academy video. So why federalism? This is a really unique system we have going on in our country. So why? Well, our founding fathers believed that governmental power could threaten your individual liberty. So therefore, you have to restrain the government power. And they felt that to divide it would, restrict that power, curb the chance for abuse. So, federalism divides power on a territorial basis. Each has its own set of powers. Neither can change, and they are independent. National issues are handled at the national level, and local issues are handled at the local level. So on your Google Slides, go ahead and answer the question, what are some examples of national issues and local issues? Okay, so let's talk about what powers the national government has. They only have those powers that are delegated to it by the Constitution. We have our express powers, and these are the ones that are plainly written down in the Constitution. It says, word for word, Congress has the power to. And there are 18 clauses in Article 1, and it gives 27 specific powers to Congress. Some examples are to raise and maintain armed forces, declare war, coin money, patents and copyrights, all sorts of stuff. Next, we have what are called the implied powers. And these are powers that are reasonably suggested by the Constitution. And this is supported by Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, which says Congress has the power to do things that are necessary and proper. Sometimes it's often called convenient and useful, also referred to as the elastic clause, because elastic, as you know, stretches, and this stretches the powers of Congress. Some examples they always give is building a hydroelectric dam. Obviously, our founding fathers would have no clue what a hydroelectric dam would be, or what you would even use it for, but Congress has the power to do that. The interstate highway system, another example of something that our founding fathers would have no idea about. And then prohibiting racial discrimination. Our founding fathers owned slaves. They were not interested in prohibiting racial discrimination. And thirdly, we have what are called inherent powers. And these are powers that belong to any sovereign government simply because they are a government. For example, every country has the power to regulate their immigration, grant diplomatic recognition to other states. This is the idea that we interact with different countries. We do not have diplomatic recognition for North Korea, for example. For the longest time, we didn't have it with Cuba, and it's been going back and forth a little bit. We might kind of have it now. Protect against rebellion. So let's talk about what powers are denied to the national government. Some are expressly stated, and most of these happen in the first 10 amendments. The government cannot restrict your freedom of speech. Other times, it's just because the Constitution doesn't say anything about it. The national government can't create a public school system because the Constitution doesn't say anything about it. The national government cannot create uniform marriage or divorce laws because the Constitution doesn't say anything about it. And because of federalism itself, the federal government cannot threaten the existence of any state. So let's talk about the powers of the states. Powers reserved to the states. These are the powers the Constitution does not grant the national government, but does not deny the states. Some business regulations, Drinking ages, I don't know if you guys know this, but the drinking age is a state law. It just so happens to be that every state has set their drinking age to 21. Marriage ages, that also varies from state to state. Some of them are as young as 14. Actually, I think Kentucky might have just raised theirs to 16 now. But now most of what affects you is done by state government, not the national government. Okay, there are powers that are denied to the states, expressly denied. Like it says, states, you can't do this. States cannot enter into a treaty, an alliance, or a confederation with any other country. States cannot print their own money. States cannot deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process. That's why you have to go through the court system if they're going to execute you or put you in jail. So here's a question. Why do you think the framers denied certain powers to the states? Okay, so let's talk about exclusive and concurrent powers. Exclusive means only. So exclusive powers are powers that are reserved only to the federal or only to the states alone. Concurrent powers are powers that both the national and the state governments have. So let's talk about some of these exclusive national powers. Only the national government can print money. Only the national government can regulate interstate or foreign trade. Interstate means between the states. Only the national government can raise and maintain our national armed forces. Only the national government can declare war. Only the national government can govern U.S. territories and admit new states and conduct foreign relations. So let's talk about things that only the state can do. Only the state can regulate trade and businesses within the state. That's why when you go get your hair done, you'll see that your barber or your stylist has a certificate, usually it's on their mirror, that is signed to the state of Florida. It's their license, their certificate, and that's how we regulate trade and business. Only the states can establish public schools, pass license requirements for professionals. I have a Florida teaching certificate. It is good only for the state of Florida. If I moved states, I would have to get a teaching certificate from that state. And regulate alcoholic beverages. Each state has their own laws and rules about the sale of alcoholic beverages, and it really does vary widely from state to state. And only the states conduct elections, even elections that are for national offices. The elections themselves are done by the states. And only the states can establish local governments. So let's talk about concurrent powers. These are powers they both have. Both the state and the national government can and do levy and collect taxes. Some states even have state income taxes. Florida does not. Both the states and the national government can borrow money. Both the state and the national government can establish the courts. Most of the time, though, if you ever have to deal with the courts, you're really dealing with a state court. But, do something really bad, you might have to go to national court, federal court. Both the state and the national government can define crimes and set punishments. And both of them can claim your private property for public use. Let's say they need to widen a road and your house is on it. They can take your land. They have to give you fair market value for it, but you don't get to say no. So let's talk about the federal system and local governments. Okay, local governments are a subunit of state governments. If you live in Viera, you are governed by the county of Brevard. You don't actually live in a city. If you live in Melbourne, you are governed by the city of Melbourne because that actually is a city. As is Rockledge and Cocoa Beach. Those are actual cities. And they are there only because the state government has said they can be there. Now, what this means is that all state governments are unitary, meaning that all the power is concentrated at the state level. In our case, Tallahassee. Okay, the supreme law of the land. In the Constitution, Article 6, it says that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. That means all state laws are beneath the Constitution. Now, as we saw in the video we watched, I think the first day of school, well, actually, in learners, you didn't, but they were talking about marijuana laws and how some states have legalized recreational marijuana, but it is still a federal crime. So the federal government can still come after you because the state laws are beneath the Constitution. And if there is a dispute, Constitution wins. So go ahead and push pause on your video and go ahead and click on the Civics 101 podcast. And when you're done listening to that, you have some terms to define. You can define those directly on your PowerPoint.